Hello everybody, it's Catherine from Jayne Catherine on Books, and seeing as we are in October for Victorian October, I thought I would bring you some more recommendations of books to read this month from the Victorian era. And here's a selection that I've got down here that I have on my Kindle, and I thought that this would give you a few more chances to pick one or two books up and participate. So the first one, and I'll try not to keep saying so, I've got a thing about saying so, a collection of previously banned Victorian erotica. Now this is an anthology with various authors participating, and I thought this might be interesting to see because what was classed as Victorian erotica is probably not classed that way these days. So even probably A Kiss in Public was classed as erotica back in those days. So yeah, I'm quite interested to see what these stories are about and why they were banned, really. And it just shows that over the ages, things that weren't deemed appropriate become normalised, I suppose. So yeah, have a look at that one. The next one I have is Fearless, and this is a Scarlet Suffragette series, and this is by Nicola. Now this is book one in the series, and it's a gothic romance. So if you like your romance, and seeing as it's that time of year for all things gothic and witchy, then this might be one for you. The next one is Limelight, and this is a Victorian mystery. It's by Emily Ogden, and this is book one of the Penny Green series. Now Penny Green is a Fleet Street reporter. If I look at my notes, she's a Fleet Street reporter, and there's been a murder. Oh yes, there's been a murder in London. Not in Scotland, but in London. Actress Lizzie has been murdered twice. Not once, but twice. So how can somebody be murdered twice, you may ask. So yeah, I'm quite interested to get to this one to see what's what's been happening there. Obviously there's been a fake death somewhere there along the lines. This is set in 1883, and yeah, another new series. So if I like it, then it's a new series to be continuing. The next one is The Hunt. Now this is by Oscar de Muriel, and as you know, if you've followed me for a while, I'm a big fan of the Frey and McGray series, and I think I've got the right way around this time. And there's 4 books out. I've already mentioned Strings of Murder on my previous post for Victorian recommendations, but this is a novella, and it's 2.5 in the series, so it comes between books 2 and 3. I've not read it yet. I've got it on my Kindle. I'm quite excited about that. It's a standalone, so you could just have a bit of a taster to see what you think to Oscar's writing there. The next one I've got is The Slum Reaper. Now this is by David Field, and it's murder and corruption in Victorian London. So we're in 1894, and there's a serial killer on the loose, and the only problem with this is it's book 4 in a series. Now the book 1, 2 and 3 weren't set in Victorian times, so obviously I didn't want to be recommending something that's not set in the era for Victober. So I'm hoping that it doesn't miss out for being book 4 in the series, and if we can still read it as a standalone. So we'll see about that one. And then finally, I've got a couple of science fiction Victorian, So for all you fantasy and sci-fi fans out there, I found a couple that perhaps you'd be interested in. So the first one is Convergence, and this is a novel of Victorian science fiction by Olivia L. Strom. And I've had actually this for a year. I downloaded it for last year's Victober and never got round to it, and hopefully I can get to it this year, otherwise you'll be hearing about it again in 2019. And then the next one is a Victorian science fiction reader, Tales from the Gaslight Zone. This is a short story collection by Graham C. Lester, and I'm not sure if this is fiction or non-fiction or a combination of the two, because in it there's answers to some of the queries that Victorians raised about the future and science fiction issues. So I'm not quite sure there whether he's taken the ideas of questions that they were curious about even back then and addressing it in a fictionalised way. I'm not quite sure really. So that sounds quite an English, interesting one. Yeah, so two science fiction ones there, just to ring up the changes for a Kindle selection. So that's it, that's all I've got for today, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.